Commander Marcus Chun sat in the control room of Earth's Space Defense Station, watching the monitors show normal activity. Ships came and went from Earth's orbit every day. Scientists, cargo transports, and mining vessels moved across the dark sky above humanity's home planet. It was a calm morning in late autumn when everything changed. The alarm was not loud. It did not need to be. When the sensors detected something moving through space faster than anything humanity had ever built, everyone in the station froze. Captain Ryan Morrison rushed to Marcus's side and stared at the screen showing the incoming signal. "How many?" Marcus asked. "One vessel." "But Commander, its size. The readings are not making sense. It is so large." Ryan's voice shook slightly. The ship appeared on visual feed moments later. It was not a ship. It was a city. A floating metal city that blotted out the sun as it approached Earth's upper atmosphere. Lights covered its surface, and Marcus could see it was built in layers, each one the size of a small country. The vessel did not try to hide its presence. It broadcast on all frequencies, in every language Earth computers could translate. "Attention, developing planet Earth. You are now registered as colonial territory of the Galactic Empire. Submit to peaceful administration. Failure to comply will result in forced integration." This is not a threat. This is notification. Within minutes, Marcus had the United Nations on every screen. President Victoria Hayes sat in her office in New York, her face pale but steady. Around her were military leaders from every nation on Earth. General Kevin Park from Korea spoke first. "How many weapons does it have?" Kevin asked. "Thousands," Ryan answered. "Maybe millions. We cannot count them. The readings are too much for our systems." Dr. Sophia Winters, Earth's top scientist, appeared on screen from her research facility. Her gray hair was tied back, and her eyes showed she had not slept. She had been studying alien technology for 20 years, waiting for this day. "This is the Galactic Empire," Sophia said simply. "I have read the old transmissions from radio telescopes. They are real, and they are exactly as every prediction said. They do not come to trade. They come to own." President Hayes leaned forward. "What do they want from Earth?" Sophia took a breath. "Our minerals, our location, our water. But mostly, they want Earth because it has an advanced species on it that can be used. Humans are adaptable. We survive in harsh conditions. The Empire collects such species." The words hung in the air like poison gas. The transmission came again. A figure appeared on screen. It was shaped like a human, but wrong. Its skin was silver, its eyes were black like oil, and its mouth was too wide. It spoke in a voice that sounded like metal breaking. "I am Coordinator Vex of the Galactic Empire. I will be leading the colonial administration of this world. In 72 hours, I will land on your surface. Your leaders will surrender all documents related to planet governance. Your military will be absorbed into the Empire's forces. Your population will be assessed for labor capability. Resistance is unnecessary and costly." The screen went black. Marcus looked at President Hayes. "What do we do?" "We think," Victoria said. "We learn. We prepare." For the next 72 hours, Earth did not sleep. Scientists studied every piece of data about the Galactic Empire. Sophia Winters worked with teams across the world, gathering information from old signals, from mathematical models, from anything that could tell them about the Empire's technology and tactics. What they found was terrifying. The Empire had defeated civilizations with advanced weapons. They had conquered planets that fought back. They had never, in recorded history, lost a colonial acquisition. Captain Ryan Morrison tried to speak with some hope. "We have nuclear weapons. We have advanced missiles. We could defend ourselves." Sophia shook her head. Their ships can destroy entire cities from orbit. Our weapons would be like throwing stones at a building. Kevin Park sat in silence for a long time. Then he spoke. There must be something they do not expect. Something about us. Marcus had been thinking the same thing. In all of Earth's history, humans had found a way. When Europe seemed lost in darkness, knowledge survived. When the world faced destruction in wars, some people found hope. When diseases killed millions, humans created medicine. What makes us different? Marcus asked Sophia. Sophia did not answer immediately. She stared at the reports, the data, the information flowing in from 1,000 sources. I do not know yet, she said. But we will find out. We have to. As the 72 hours passed, the Empire's ship grew larger in the sky. It was now so big that it blocked half the sun. Its shadow fell across entire continents. Children looked up at the sky and saw darkness at noon. Scientists measured its power systems and found them beyond understanding. Military leaders made plans they knew would probably fail. Hannah Cooper, a young diplomat, stood in the United Nations chamber. She had prepared speeches for trade negotiations and peace talks. Now she prepared arguments for why Earth should not be conquered. They treat this like business, she said to herself. They follow rules. They announced themselves. They gave warnings. That means there is a process. There is a way to fight this, just not with weapons. On the final day, Marcus stood with Sophia in the command center. They looked at Earth hanging in space below them, beautiful and blue and fragile. Billions of people were down there, going about their lives, not knowing that everything was about to change. Whatever happens, Sophia said quietly, we survive. Humans always find a way. Marcus nodded. He did not know if she was right, but he knew they would try. The Empire's ship began to descend through Earth's atmosphere. The sky burned red with heat. Alarms sounded across every military base on the planet. Nations that had been enemies for centuries stood ready together, not in hope of winning, but in determination not to surrender without a fight. Earth had never faced anything like this before. And Earth had no idea that everything about to unfold would change not just humanity's future, but the future of the entire galaxy. Dr. Sophia Winters did not sleep for 4 days. She sat in her laboratory with coffee that had grown cold, surrounded by data screens showing biological information about Earth and alien species. Her team of 30 scientists worked around her, each one focused on a different question. Sophia had only one question. Why did the Galactic Empire think it could simply move billions of colonists to Earth? The answer came at 3 in the morning. Lieutenant Aaron Kelly burst into the laboratory, holding a decoded transmission from the Empire's public broadcasts. Sophia read it with her eyes moving faster and faster across the lines. Her face changed from confusion to understanding to shock. They plan to relocate the population? She whispered. Not plan, Aaron said. It is already decided. In 50 years, Earth's human population will be relocated to designated worlds. This planet will become home to the Empire's genetic experiments and resource operations. The words meant one thing: extinction. Not through war or weapons, but through displacement. Humans would be moved off their own world, scattered across the galaxy, broken apart into small groups on distant planets where they had no history, no roots, no home. Sophia made a decision that would change everything. She called together her most trusted researchers. Within hours, they were examining thousands of samples, running genetic comparisons, analyzing atmospheric data, studying medical records of every alien species the Empire had ever documented. What Sophia found was so obvious, she wondered why no one had noticed before. Every species the Empire colonized came from worlds similar to their own. The Kelthid came from a hot, dry planet and colonized other hot, dry worlds. The Zoran came from cold regions and thrived in ice zones. The Imperium, the ruling species of the Empire, came from a world that was old, stable, and gentle. Its gravity was low. Its air was different. Its diseases were kind. Earth was none of those things. This world is a death world, Sophia said to her team. That is what xenobiologists call planets like ours. High gravity, hostile weather, diseases that kill quickly, predators that hunt anything. This is where humans come from. Marcus Chun listened from the command center, hearing her words through secure communication. He understood immediately. You are saying that they cannot live here? He asked. Not easily, Sophia replied. The Imperium especially. Their biology is adapted to safety. Their immune systems have no experience with aggressive microorganisms. Without constant medical support and genetic modification, most of them would be sick within weeks, dead within months. This was the first real advantage humanity had found. But it was not enough. General Kevin Park gathered with Colonel Michelle Grant, Secretary of Defense, in a secure room deep underground. They studied maps of Earth, looking at the problem from a military perspective. If they cannot survive long-term, they will not settle, Kevin said. They will occupy, control, and extract. They will use force to keep us under control while they take what they want. Michelle nodded slowly. She had made the same calculations. 50 years is enough time. They do not need permanent colonists. They need managers and guards while they strip the planet and move our people. It was Kevin who asked the real question. What do we have that they cannot replace? Sophia had the answer. She had been studying it in the laboratory samples all night. Us, she said simply. Humans, our genetics. Our ability to survive in harsh places. Our adaptability. Our capacity to endure what other species cannot. The Empire does not want Earth as a home. They want Earth as a source for human soldiers, workers, and most importantly, genetic material. They see us as a resource. Aaron Kelly brought another discovery. His research team had found something in the old classified files. Centuries ago, before the spacefaring age, a scientist named Dr. Harrison had written about Earth's unique properties. Earth's electromagnetic field was stronger than most planets. Its atmosphere had unique chemical properties. Something about the combination of these factors made certain biological adaptations happen faster in humans. We are not just survivors, Aaron explained. We are evolvers. On Earth, species that cannot adapt die. Species that adapt thrive. Humans come from generations of ancestors who faced impossible odds. It is in our DNA now. This was more than knowledge. This was power. Michelle Grant called President Victoria Hayes and General Kevin Park to an emergency meeting. In a room built to withstand nuclear bombs, they discussed humanity's last hope. We cannot fight them directly, Kevin said. But we can make Earth too costly to occupy. We can make the colony fail. We can create problems they cannot solve. Michelle leaned forward. How? Kevin smiled for the first time in days. The same way humans have always survived. We understand this world. Every disease. Every predator. Every weather pattern. Every danger. We know how to live on a death world because we evolved here. The Imperium does not. We weaponize what we know. Sophia understood. You want to make Earth hostile to them. Exactly, Kevin said. Not destroy Earth. Just remind them why Earth is dangerous. Show them that controlling this world will cost more than any resource it provides. We do not defeat them militarily. We defeat them logically. Laura Schmidt, Earth's greatest weapons engineer, received the request from Kevin Park. She read it 3 times to make sure she understood. They wanted her to design a defense system that used Earth itself as a weapon. Not radiation or poison that would hurt humans. Not biological warfare that would harm Earth itself. Something more clever. Something that would make the Imperium's occupation inefficient and expensive. For the first time in 4 days. Laura smiled. I can do this, she said to herself. In laboratories and military facilities across Earth, scientists and engineers began working on something unprecedented. They were not building weapons to fight the Galactic Empire ships. They were building systems to weaponize Earth's natural hostility to outsiders. If the Imperium wanted to colonize a death world, they would learn what death truly meant. Hannah Cooper, the diplomat, realized something important during this time. The Empire had made a mistake. They had given Earth time. They had announced themselves with warning. They had followed protocol, perhaps never imagining that a developing world would dare to resist. That meant there were rules. There was a process. And humans had always been excellent at finding loopholes in systems they did not write. She began gathering information about Galactic Empire law, about treaties, about precedents. If war was not possible, perhaps there was another way. Sophia Winters looked at all the data one more time as morning came. Outside her laboratory window, the sun was rising over Earth. It was red and gold, beautiful and dangerous. The home of a species that had learned to survive the unsurvivable. They think we are sheep to be herded, she said quietly. They do not understand. Earth does not raise sheep. Earth raises wolves. The United Nations building in New York had never seen so many leaders in one room. Every nation on Earth sent its most important representatives. Presidents and prime ministers stood alongside generals and scientists. Old enemies who had not spoken to each other in decades now sat at the same table, looking at a problem that made their old conflicts seem small. President Victoria Hayes stood at the head of the table. She had ruled Earth with fairness, but she had never believed she would need to unite the world. Now she had no choice. The Empire has given us 14 days before they begin full administration of our planet, Victoria said, her voice steady. In those 14 days, we will show them why Earth should not be conquered. We will not fight a war we cannot win. Instead, we will make occupation impossible. General Kevin Park from Korea presented the plan. It was simple but brilliant. They would not attack the Empire's ships or weapons. Instead, they would prepare Earth itself as a weapon. Every nation would contribute. Every person who could work would work. Laura Schmidt, the weapons engineer, took over the presentation. Her face was serious, but her eyes showed excitement. Finally, humanity's brightest minds were working together instead of against each other. We have studied Earth's natural defenses, Laura said, showing maps and diagrams. The atmosphere has properties that affect alien biology. The weather patterns are more extreme than most colonized worlds. The electromagnetic field is stronger. Bacteria in our soil are more aggressive. Even our plants have toxins that develop quickly against threats. She showed images of diseases that killed fast, of predators that adapted quickly, of storms that formed without warning. We are going to amplify these natural factors. We are going to build systems that make Earth's natural hostility more organized, more effective, more devastating to any occupation force. The plan required 3 things: time, resources, and unity. Time was running out, but resources were available, and for the first time in human history, the world was united. Factories across every continent began working day and night. In China, workers built atmospheric processors. In Brazil, engineers created biological containment systems. In North Africa, scientists set up weather manipulation stations. In Russia, teams constructed magnetic field amplifiers. In the United States, teams worked on disease vectoring systems that would target alien biology without harming humans. The work was dangerous. Workers faced unknown risks, but they worked anyway because they understood. Their world was at stake. Michelle Grant, Secretary of Defense, coordinated all military operations. Nations that had been preparing to fight each other now prepared to fight together. Weapons that had been pointed at neighbors were redirected at a common threat. Soldiers from every country trained together, learning to work as one unified force. But there was a problem. The Empire's technology was so far ahead that military preparation seemed almost pointless. It was Aaron Kelly who found the solution. In stolen transmissions from the Empire's earlier surveys, he discovered something. The Imperium did not understand symmetrical warfare. They understood overwhelming force and submission. They did not understand how to adapt when an enemy used the environment itself as a weapon. They think like conquerors, Aaron explained. They come to a world, they land, they set up bases, and the locals surrender. It always works for them. They have never faced an enemy that makes the planet itself fight back. Marcus Chun realized what this meant. They will not evacuate. They will try to control the situation. By the time they understand what is happening, the systems will be too spread out. They cannot destroy them all. The plan was becoming real. Hannah Cooper worked with her diplomatic team to prepare for a different kind of conflict. She studied every law, every treaty, every precedent in the Galactic Empire's legal system. If military resistance would fail, perhaps legal resistance would work. She found something buried in old imperial documents. There was a clause in the colonial acquisition process. If a developing world demonstrated sufficient technological advancement and unified purpose, they could petition the Galactic Council for recognition as a sovereign species. Before colonization. It was a tiny crack in the Empire's system. But it was enough. We need proof, Hannah told Victoria. We need to show that Earth is not a developing world that cannot resist. We need to show that we are united and capable. The next 10 days became a blur of work and preparation. Across Earth, visible changes began appearing. Towers rose that seemed to have no purpose. Networks of wires and cables stretched across continents. Weather stations in the Arctic began affecting storm patterns. Ships in the ocean began releasing chemicals that changed water currents. The Imperium's observers watched, confused. They did not understand what was being built. Sophia Winters continued her research, discovering more about how to make Earth hostile. She worked with teams of biologists to understand which pathogens were most dangerous to Imperium physiology. Not to kill them, she insisted, but to make long-term occupation nearly impossible. We are defending our home, she said. We are not committing genocide. We are saying that this world is not open for occupation, that it will fight back. Lavra Schmidt watched as the first test of the system succeeded. In a controlled environment, the atmospheric processors created conditions that made Imperium cell structures unstable. Not lethal, just uncomfortable, weakening. They will get sick, Lavra reported. Long-term exposure will cause progressive biological breakdown. They can be treated with medicine, but the cost will be enormous. Constant medical intervention. High casualties among the occupation force. Every year more problems. This was the key. The Empire could conquer through force, but they could not occupy if the cost was too high. Kevin Park trained the Unified Earth Defense Force. Soldiers from every nation stood together, not to fight ships or weapons, but to protect the systems that were being built, to ensure that the Imperium could not stop what was happening. The governments of Earth issued their first unified statement. Earth is a sovereign world. We will not accept occupation. We will not surrender our people. We will make this planet too costly to conquer. It was not a threat. It was a statement of fact. On the final night before the declaration, Marcus Chen stood with Sophia in the command center. The sky above Earth showed lights from the Empire's massive ship, still in orbit. "They will think we are crazy," Sophia said. "A developing world declaring independence from the Galactic Empire." "Yes," Marcus agreed. "But that is what makes it work. They cannot imagine we would dare. They cannot imagine we have found a way. In laboratories and control rooms, in military bases and government buildings, across every continent and ocean, humanity made its final preparations. The world was ready. Earth was ready. For the first time in galactic history, a developing world was about to tell the Galactic Empire no. And they had the means to make it stick. The transmission was sent on all frequencies at the exact same moment across Earth. It went out on radio waves, on quantum transmitters, on every method of communication humanity possessed. At the same time, it was sent through the Galactic Empire's own communication network, using codes that Hannah Cooper's team had stolen from their earlier messages. Every being in the galaxy who could receive a transmission heard it. President Victoria Hayes appeared on the screen. She stood alone, but behind her was a symbol, the unified flag of Earth, showing every nation's mark merged into one circle. Her voice was calm and strong. "I am President Victoria Hayes of Earth. I speak for every human who lives on this world. The Galactic Empire has declared us colonial territory. We reject this declaration. We declare Earth a sovereign world, ruled by the people who are born here, who live here, and who have the right to determine our own future." The transmission continued. Victoria did not shout. She did not make threats. She simply stated facts. "The Galactic Empire assumes that we will surrender because you are stronger, because you have better weapons, because you have technology we do not possess. But the Galactic Empire does not understand something about this world. Earth teaches its inhabitants to survive. Our history is a history of overcoming. We have survived ice ages. We have survived plagues. We have faced extinction and continued anyway." She paused, letting the words settle. "We have prepared our world for your occupation, not with weapons that will fail, but with Earth itself. Our atmosphere has been modified. Our weather patterns have been designed. Our biological systems have been enhanced. If you attempt to colonize this world, your people will face conditions they have never encountered. Your technology can overcome many things, but can it overcome a planet determined to reject you?" Victoria leaned forward slightly. "This is not a threat. This is information. The cost of occupying Earth will be higher than the resources we provide. Your people will get sick. Your equipment will malfunction. Your soldiers will suffer. This is not because Earth is hostile to life. It is hostile to occupation by those who come to destroy it." Then Hannah Cooper appeared on screen. She was dressed in the formal clothes of galactic diplomacy, clothes Earth's tailors had created based on stolen specifications. "The Galactic Empire operates under law," Hannah said. "Article 7, Section 3 of the Colonial Acquisition Treaty states that a developing world can petition for sovereign recognition if they demonstrate unified political structure, advanced technological capability, and capacity for planetary-level organization." She held up documents, thousands of them, all showing Earth's technology, Earth's unity, Earth's capability. Earth meets all these requirements. We are filing for sovereign recognition. We are invoking our right under galactic law to refuse colonial status. Any attempt to occupy this world without Galactic Council approval would be a violation of the Empire's own laws. This was the legal trap. If the Empire ignored its own rules to conquer Earth, it would expose its entire system as false. Other species might begin questioning the Empire's authority. Other worlds might demand the same rights. General Kevin Park appeared next. He did not speak about military strength. Instead, he spoke about human determination. The Galactic Empire has never lost a war, Kevin said. But the Galactic Empire has never faced an enemy that cannot be defeated through weapons. Humans cannot be broken by force. We adapt. We endure. We find ways to survive that others think are impossible. He showed images of Earth's defenses. He showed the atmospheric processors. He showed the weather systems. He showed the biological modifications. Not to prove they were superior weapons, but to prove that Earth could not be controlled. Your occupation will fail, Kevin said simply. Not because we will defeat you in combat, because you cannot maintain an occupation on a world that rejects you. Because every day will cost you more than every day of profit. Because after 50 years, you will realize we cannot be conquered. Finally, Sophia Winters appeared. She held the genetic research in her hands. The Galactic Empire sees humans as resources, Sophia said. As soldiers and workers and genetic material for experiments. But the Galactic Empire does not understand something. Humans are not malleable. We are not easily changed. We are the product of a death world's evolution. That means we are stubborn. We are hard to break. We are willing to die rather than accept slavery. Sophia set down the research. The Empire's plan was to relocate our population and reshape our world. That plan is no longer possible. This world will remain ours. And those who come here will understand why death worlds matter. They produce survivors. They produce people who refuse to surrender. The transmission ended. For 15 seconds, there was silence across the galaxy. Then, the reactions began. Chaos erupted on Galactic Empire networks. Officers debated. Scientists questioned the analysis. Bureaucrats argued about the legal implications. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Galactic Empire faced something it did not know how to handle. It was not military defeat. It was irrelevance. Coordinator Vex received the transmission in his command ship. His silver face showed no emotion, but his bio-reading spiked. He immediately contacted the Galactic Council. There were emergency meetings. There were arguments. Some council members pushed for invasion anyway. Military force could overcome any obstacle. But others raised concerns. If the Empire violated its own laws, it would weaken the authority that allowed them to rule so many worlds. If Earth could invoke the Sovereign Protection Clause, why could not other developing worlds? The debate lasted 4 days. Marcus Chun watched from Earth's command center as the Empire's massive ship held position in orbit. It did not move closer. It did not fire. It simply remained, and Marcus understood they were making a decision. Then the transmission came. Coordinator Vex appeared on screen. His voice was cold and calculated. The Galactic Council has reviewed Earth's petition. Due to the circumstances and legal considerations, Earth's claim to sovereignty is recognized, pending a review council evaluation in 2 years. Until that time, Galactic Empire forces will not occupy your world. However, Earth will not receive colony status resources or trade agreements until your claim is finalized. It was not victory. It was not defeat. It was the exact space humans needed. The Empire ship began moving away from Earth. Slowly, deliberately, it left orbit and began the journey back to Imperial space. When the ship was gone, when the sky was finally empty of threat, Earth erupted. People came into the streets everywhere. In every nation, in every city, humans celebrated. Not because they had won a war, but because they had chosen themselves. Because they had said no to the most powerful force in the galaxy. And because they had survived, Marcus Chun transmitted a message to every military base, every science facility, every government building on Earth. Earth is sovereign. We remain free. In that moment, everything changed. Humans were no longer a developing species under threat. They were a people who had refused conquest. They were a world that had weaponized itself and lived. They were examples of something the galaxy had not seen in thousands of years. Defiance that worked. 6 months after the Empire's ship left Earth's orbit, the world was completely different. The weapon systems Laura Schmidt had built remained in place, but their purpose changed. They were no longer weapons of defense. They were reminders of what Earth could do when united. They stood as monuments to human determination, as warnings to anyone who might think Earth was easy to control. Factories that had built defense systems began building other things. Space stations, mining equipment, trading vessels. The same industrial strength that had prepared Earth for war now prepared Earth for peace with the galaxy. But it was peace on Earth's terms. Anna Cooper stood in the Galactic Council chambers for the first time. The chambers were a vast structure orbiting a star at the center of Imperial space. Species from hundreds of worlds moved through corridors, wearing the styles of their own cultures, speaking languages that human ears could only hear through translation devices. Hannah wore clothing that showed Earth's colors, but in a style that told the galaxy she was more than just an alien visitor. She was an ambassador, a representative of a world that had earned its place at the table. Her role was to negotiate Earth's position in the broader galactic community. It was the most important job any human had ever been given. The first test came quickly. A mining corporation wanted to extract resources from one of Earth's moons. They offered prices that were standard for developing worlds, prices that assumed Earth had no choice but to accept. Hannah refused. She met with them face to face. Across a table where the corporation's representative, a Kelthid trader, expected to close a deal in minutes. Earth's resources are not for sale at colonial prices, Hannah said. If you want our minerals, you will pay the price of a sovereign world, or you will not get them. The Kelthid rose from the table, ready to leave. But then Hannah showed him something. Video of Earth's planetary defense systems. Images of the atmospheric processors. Data showing how any world that tried to take resources by force would face Earth's defenses. You cannot occupy us, Hannah said calmly. So you will negotiate fairly. This is not a threat. This is how trade works between equals. The Kelthid negotiated, and Earth won the first fair trade agreement with an alien species. Word spread through the galaxy quickly. Earth was not going to be treated as a developing world. Earth was going to be treated as a power. This attitude created respect that weapons alone could never have earned. Sophia Winters continued her work, but now her laboratory was not preparing weapons. It was preparing for something greater. She was teaching the next generation of human scientists how to understand Earth's unique biology, how to use Earth's natural properties for benefit instead of just defense. Our world made us what we are, Sophia told her students. Now, we must understand this world fully, not to fight, but to live better, to grow stronger, to become a species that other worlds will want to learn from, not conquer. Her research became famous across the galaxy. Scientists from a dozen different species came to Earth to study with her. The planet that was once seen as a source of resources became known as a source of knowledge. General Kevin Park transformed the Unified Defense Force into something new. It remained a military structure, but its purpose shifted. It became a protection force. It guarded Earth's borders, but it also trained peacekeeping forces. Earth became known for sending soldiers to worlds in trouble. Soldiers who protected civilians instead of conquering populations. We know what it is like to be threatened, Kevin told his soldiers. We will not allow others to experience that fear without response. This is our debt to the galaxy. We will be the ones who say no to conquest. We will be the ones who protect the weak. Schmidt's defense systems inspired a new industry. Other worlds, tired of the Galactic Empire's dominance, began hiring human engineers to design planetary defense systems. Not systems as advanced as Earth's, but systems built on the same principles, using a world's natural properties as defense rather than just military hardware. Human engineers became sought after across the galaxy. They built systems that were elegant and effective. They turned planets into protected sanctuaries. They helped smaller species survive against larger threats. Kevin Park hired more and more humans into these roles. A new profession was born: human defenders. Not conquerors, but protectors. Michelle Grant, Secretary of Defense, retired after 2 years. Her last act was to ensure that the defense of Earth was no longer centralized in government hands. She distributed control across every nation, every region, every city. The knowledge of how to maintain the systems was spread so wide that no single person or group could betray the world. Authority comes from the people, Michelle said in her final speech. Defense of Earth must belong to all Earth. That is the only way we stay free. President Victoria Hayes called for the creation of something unprecedented: the Terran Independence Charter. It was a document written by representatives from every nation, every culture, every group on Earth. It stated the values that had kept humanity alive on a death world. It promised that no future generation would be unprepared for threats beyond the stars. The charter did not just focus on military readiness. It emphasized unity. It emphasized the importance of all humans working together. It demanded that no nation could ever be conquered again, because all nations would stand as one. We are a species forged in fire, Victoria wrote in the charter's opening. We have survived because we adapted. We have grown strong because we endured. This charter promises that we will never forget these lessons. We will never face the galaxy divided. We will never surrender our right to choose our own future. The document was sent to every school on Earth. Every child learned its principles. The Terran Independence Charter became as important to human culture as any ancient text. But there was something more important happening that few people noticed across the galaxy. New alliances were forming. Species that had never worked together began coordinating. 17 distinct civilizations sent messages to Earth, asking to form mutual defense agreements. You have shown us something, one alien leader told Hannah Cooper. You have shown us that the Galactic Empire is not invulnerable. You have shown us that unified worlds can resist. We want to build an alliance with you. We want to create something that can balance the Empire's power. It was the beginning of something that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity was not just protecting Earth anymore. Humanity was becoming the center of a new order. Marcus Chun stood on the orbital command station. Looking down at Earth, the planet looked the same. Beautiful, blue, fragile. But it was not fragile anymore. It was strong. He thought about the Empire's massive ship, how it had seemed invincible when it arrived. He thought about the fear that everyone had felt when they understood what was coming. He thought about the moment when everything changed. It had not been changed by weapons. It had not been changed by military superiority. It had been changed by humans deciding they would not accept slavery. It had been changed by a world coming together. It had been changed by people choosing themselves. Below him, billions of humans lived their lives. They did not know how close extinction had come. They did not fully understand the sacrifice that had been made to keep them free, but they would. In time, they would understand. Their children would understand. Their children's children would grow up in a free world, and they would know why that freedom mattered. The stars were no longer a threat to Earth. The stars were a frontier, a place where human ships would travel not as refugees, not as conquered, but as equals, as traders, as allies, As Protectors. Marcus turned from the window and looked at his communications officer. "Send the message to all human settlements across the galaxy," he said. "Tell them that Earth stands sovereign. Tell them that we are free. And tell them that we will never accept conquest again." The message went out across the void, traveling at the speed of light, carried by equipment that humans had built on a death world. Using knowledge that only survivors could possess, Earth had declared itself to the galaxy. And the galaxy was listening. The age of human subjugation was over. The age of human choice had begun.